Welcome, my name is Faith Jorufura, and today we are live at the Bio-Innovation Diabetes Workshop, where we have different organizations showcasing their services. We have one organization that is helping people check their BMI, their weight, and their sugar levels. And most of them are showcasing the traditional foods and the healthy foods that one who is diabetic or who is trying to prevent or delay the condition can have. We also have recipes on the traditional foods that people can make. And then the other organizations are also showcasing the fitness health, how people should exercise and how frequently you should do it.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Pear and I work for Innovation Zimbabwe. Today we put on a diabetes and health awareness workshop where we brought together about 25 people as well as companies that are involved in the health, exercise and food sectors to show people kind of what is diabetes, but also how one can manage it through simple, really accessible, really easy changes in your life, in your diet, and in your exercise. So it was just really fun, very chilled out. We ate some delicious food for lunch using traditional ingredients like sorghum and nemo bean, to also show that those traditional foods are really good for us and fill us with nutrition and energy. Going forward, we've met a lot of great people today, and I think we're all going to stay in touch. We've gathered everybody's emails and phone numbers to do a WhatsApp group. Our colleague Cordialis from California, who's Zimbabwean, she has an online course that follows a lot of these same themes, so we're hoping that we can build from that experience as well, and we really hope that we're able to do another one in the coming months.
Mel, I'm from Run Walk for Life, which is a South African based franchise, but I have the Zimbabwean franchise here. We're a running and walking program. We take people of all ages and fitness levels, runners, walkers, all ages, all sizes, and we all just get together, do some training, get fit, get healthy. Everyone knows the benefits of exercise. It's easy to deny them, but it's so important for controlling your weight, for your peace of mind, for your your mental approach to life. If you're fit and healthy and strong, just everything in life is just so much easier. And it's so, going out for a nice little training walk or run with your friends just does so much for your, if you're feeling depressed or not feeling up to life, getting out and doing some exercise is important. And of course there are the physical benefits as well, lowering cholesterol, losing weight, all of those benefits, improving the health of your heart and your lungs. Just exercise, cardio exercise is essential, and our program is very social, it's safe, we train in groups and with other people, so we're always in a safe environment when we train. You don't have to go out and run miles on your own. You don't have to go into a gym and feel totally intimidated by all the skinny people, For us, we just get out there and we do our training and get healthy and fit at the same time, which is fantastic. Well, we've got a website, or else people just contact me through email or on my Facebook page. And if you're interested, you just come along to one of our training sessions and we get you going straight away.
Hello there, Zimbabwe. I am Cordialis Chipom Sorakasago, and I am a registered dietitian nutritionist and founder of the African Part Nutrition, a nutrition consultancy that is focused on helping people of African descent eat well and live well, especially in this period where we have new foods that are coming in and we're confused as to, is that healthy? Should I be eating this? Or what exactly am I supposed to do? So my goal is to help you figure out how to eat well and how to prevent the diseases that we're now seeing now. Diabetes, hypertension, gout, all those different things that are coming in. How do they fit in with you? And so visit me. I am on the African Part Nutrition, or you can follow me on Twitter at the Africa Dietitian. But my goal is to prevent diabetes. It is not a part of our culture. Diabetes is something that we are now experiencing at very high levels. And the key to remember is that it can be prevented. If you already have diabetes, we can actually help reverse diabetes by making changes in diet and lifestyle. So that is the basic key, and that is the basic element. I want you to know that chronic disease is preventable and that you have the key. You can do it. Thank you. So my goal with the African Part Nutrition is to help people eat well. I consult with people on an individual basis, but more so in group classes where we talk about the different things that you can do to make you healthy. Let's face it, we all know what we're supposed to be doing. We all know what we're supposed to be eating. More fruits, more vegetables, move a little bit more. But it's the how of how to do it that is missing. How do you eat healthy? How do you find time? How do you cook? What do you cook? Those are the different things that we at the African Part Nutrition cover to help you live your healthiest life ever. You can find us online at theafricanpartnutrition.com. Find us also at Instagram, African Part Nutrition. We are on Facebook, The African Part Nutrition, and on Instagram. Please follow us and tell us what you think are the biggest challenges that you face as an individual trying to live healthy in Zimbabwe. We want to hear from you.
Roast butternuts,
What does BMI mean? Like a 20
red onion, some nuts, marula nuts, and masao.
Masao, what you mean? Masao, 25 to something. Then there's another.
You just dry them, shake it up a little bit. So you take out the seeds.
I'm Nick Takavade from Natural Hub. Natural Hub is an online business. We have a physical shop at number 1 Kingsmead, but it's mostly a logistical office. We are in partnership with a number of suppliers of healthy foods. So our aim is to make it easy for anyone who has made up their mind to eat healthy or to live healthy. And we make sure that we provide the information, the health benefits for each of the products, as well as the ingredients. And in our partnership, we have a bias for things that are either sustainably harvested or ethically produced. We also have the bias for organic products, but we are not exclusively organic. So as the name says, Natural Hub, it's mostly, we also work on the assumption that mostly if something is natural, it is better for you. And there's been an increase in diseases as well as malnutrition, yet people's stomachs are full. So what we're trying to do is to provide and fill in that gap. Basically make it easy. So it's empowering the consumer with information as well as them getting what they not having the full range of products. You will notice here, for example, we've got this Charlie's Bush breakfasts, which has masao, mangongo nuts, marula nuts, and popped amaranth, which is a healthy alternative to the commonly known products and cereals. And then the whole range of the small grains, mostly small grains, like for today here it's mostly more important because small grains help in regulating diabetes. They, if you lick sugar, your sugar level in the body shoots up, and that creates a lot of disturbances. But with these small grains, they are slow releasing, and it is actually beneficial. And there's been a lot of research that has been done to prove that. And then if you look at it, most of them, we also have the bias for the traditional products, although we're not strictly traditional. Today people are getting diseases that they never used to get. Our ancestors, all the generations never used to get. And when you look at the whole equation and try to understand what has changed and what has not changed, and then when you look at the same time at scientific evidence, you then can come to a conclusion that we are what we eat. And if we are not eating healthy, every time you eat, you either keeping away a certain disease or you are feeding that disease. And we also don't believe that you should these foods should be for those who are not feeling well. The foods should be for the whole family. So that brings in the other dimension of recipes. With our partners, we're really working at having cooking demos as well as providing information and recipes on how to prepare the food. A lot of people don't eat these foods because they've tested where they've been cooked and they didn't like them. Take for example, we have here mafunde. We have two varieties here. It's the same product. For example, this product we've got, this information we also have on the website. Mafunde and munga can work very well as a substitute for any rice recipe. So where one struggles with eating mafunde on its own, mafunde sadza or munga sadza, if it's incorporated in other non-recipes, it allows the whole family to eat from the same plate and makes it much more palatable and nicer. But at the end of the day, we, at Natural Hub, we want to make it easy for you to get what you need, and we will deliver even to your doorstep. And that has been the challenge for most people, in that they decide to eat healthy, but they walk into a supermarket, there's no alternative. As you walk to the till, there's all snacks that are on the sides by the till there. Very few of them are actually quite healthy. We have a number of snacks here that are quite healthy. The marula nut biscotti, even the marula nuts themselves. Stuff that you can pack in your children's lunch boxes and they can actually have a healthy meal. We have popped amaranth. Popped amaranth is known as bonongwe or moa. That's the seed. Here it is popped, just like popcorn, and it's quite versatile. It's very nutritious. It contains, you can see here, protein. Amaranth is a good source for calcium, phosphorus, iron, zinc, magnesium, vitamin E and vitamin B, fiber, and polyunsaturated fats. You can be very adventurous in how you use it. For example, I like to use it, I'm not diabetic, I like to use it on ice cream as a topping. Sprinkle it on ice cream. I normally have I normally have milimil mogaiwa porridge in the morning with peanut butter. Sprinkle a bit of amaranth. Then you have added all those nutrients into your diet and you're good to go. A number of, like I mentioned earlier, we have not covered all the products that we have. We are part of the Zimbabwe Traditional and Organic Food Forum, which does the food festival around October, usually the beginning of October. This year it's on the 31st of September, a Saturday. And so we are working and trying to even create market access for all the different farmers that exhibit there. That through Natural Hub, even when they go back to Chipinge or wherever they've come from, consumers can still access the foods that they actually have. And I could go on and on.
I'm just going to introduce to you our friend who came from very, very far. She's Cordialis, and she's a nutritionist, dietitian, Zimbabwean but based in California. So over to you, Cordialis.
Thanks. So thank you everybody for being here, and thank you for your patience as we've gone through the whole day. I know some of you came in very, very early. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. I've been told I have a loud voice, so that's good. So I just want to, real quickly, before we start, talk about diabetes. And as we've gone through, I met some of you that are already diabetic, okay? And the information will apply to you as well, you know, because we're talking about prevention of diabetes, because diabetes is becoming like a national pandemic, I think, as it is worldwide. You know, statistics tell us that in the world, every 6 seconds, somebody dies from diabetes. Every 6 seconds in the whole world, somebody dies from diabetes. So in Africa, according to the International Diabetes Federation, diabetes, if we don't do anything about the current trend, and if the trend continues, by 2040, Africa, the whole continent, will have the largest population of people living with diabetes in the world. You know, so on the African continent. Now, our medical systems are not as strong as we'd like for them to be. You know, so given what we have right now, imagine what's going to happen to our continent. So the goal is that we prevent this disease, right? Prevent it from happening. And so that is one of the reasons why we're here. But if you're already diabetic, I think the information is definitely going to apply to you, because it's about diet and lifestyle, making sure that everything is okay. So does anybody know what the estimates of diabetic people in Zimbabwe is?
Last time I read, which was quite a long time ago, it was a total thumb suck, but it was 68%.
68%?
Yeah, and that was, most people didn't know that they were diabetic.
Yes, that's the second statistic, right? So basically, where are my number 8, 9s, and 10s? Okay, 8, 9s, and 10s, please stand up. Okay, so based on the statistic, okay, that she shared, what we know is that 70% of people of Zimbabwean descent that have diabetes do not know that they have diabetes. The people standing up are the people who have diabetes but know that they have diabetes. Everybody else that's sitting down does not know that they have the condition. So think about it. How many people are walking in our streets, are living in our homes, are working with us that have diabetes but do not know that they have diabetes? You know, think about it. More of us are sitting than are standing. So it's such a powerful thing to remember, right? That 70% of people in Zimbabwe who have the condition do not know that they have it. You can sit down, thank you. You know, and the important thing to remember about this is that the sooner that you're able to get to it, the more likely you are to manage or prevent it. But the conditions that happen is that if you don't know that you have it, you end up in a situation whereby you're now very sick, right? And you end up being in the hospital and it's a little bit too late, right? So in 2015, statistics say that 81% of the known diabetes-related deaths occurred in people that were under the age of 60. So 81% of known diabetic deaths were in people under the age of 60. Most of us here, right, are the ones that are dying from diabetes. We are the teachers, we are the doctors, we are the engineers, we are the entrepreneurs, we are the people that are building the country and the continent. If we're dying, what kind of future are we giving our children, right? So it's kind of like a little thing to kind of think about. So when we talk about diabetes, we're not just thinking about the individual person. We're thinking about the future of our country. Yes, we care about the individual person because you as an individual are very important. But let's look at the bigger scheme of things and what the country is using. You know, so what is diabetes? Right? It's a condition in which your body is not able to use the food that you eat in order for it to get some energy, right? One great analogy that I have, right, is think of a car. All of us know what cars move on, right? What does a car need to move on? Fuel, right? If you don't have fuel in your car, what happens? Stuck. It stops, right? Like no matter what you do, you can push it a little, but as long as there's no fuel, you're not going to get very far, right? Okay. So your body has different cells. Every single cell in your body needs fuel in order for it to function. Your brain is loaded with fuel. Without that fuel, you can't think. You know, in order for you to look at me today, there's cells that are allowing you to look at me, right? But when you don't have that fuel, you can't do anything. And so, just like a car, you go to the gas station. How does the fuel get into your car? You need a what? A pump, right? So you need a pump to pump the fuel into the car. The car are your body's cells. The pump is insulin. Insulin is what helps your body get the fuel into your body's cells. When the pump is broken, you have diabetes. Okay? Sometimes the pump is broken, you can't put gas into that fuel, your cells cannot absorb that glucose, right? Sometimes the whole factor of it is that maybe there's a lot of cars in your body right now, or a lot of cells there, or maybe there's not enough pumps to fuel each cell. And so that basically is what diabetes is. There's not enough energy that is entering your cell. Maybe because your body is not making insulin, or maybe because there is not enough insulin, you know, or enough pumps to kind of go into your body cells. All right. So the consequences of diabetes. What do you guys know about what happens when you have diabetes if you leave it untreated? Blindness. Okay. Diabetes is among the leading cause of non-accidental blindness in the world.
Don't heal. Your injuries don't heal.
Right. Your injuries are slow to heal. And what happens sometimes when your injuries are slow to heal?
Gangrene.
Gangrene, right? What is gangrene? Amputations, right? You know, it's the leading cause of limbs, also outside of accidents, right? What happens to your heart? Anybody know about diabetes and heart disease? Heart failure. You're at increased risk of heart disease if you are diabetic. Okay, and we also know that diabetes leads to kidney failure as well. So there's a whole lot of different things that come in, and eventually, if diabetes is left untreated, it can lead to death. Okay, so what happened? Why the increase of diabetes in Zimbabwe? What happened?
Refined foods and sugar.
Refined food and sugar. What else?
Fats, salts.
Fats and salts.
Lack of exercise.
Yeah.
Lack of exercise, right?
Change of lifestyle.
It's a change of lifestyle. One of my favorite sayings is sitting is the new smoking, right? We've heard a lot of different things about tobacco. Is there anybody right in this area who does not know the consequences of too much tobacco? What happens when you smoke? You know the answer. I want to hear people talk. Right? Cancer, right? We've heard about that. Is there anybody who doesn't know that tobacco causes cancer? Right? We've heard that before. But it's a lifestyle thing. Sitting is the new smoking. Sitting has been linked, or lack of physical activity, has been linked to a lot of different diseases. But yet we still do it. Right? We still sit. We're not as passionate as, don't smoke, you know. But yet we don't tell people, don't sit. We need to be moving a little bit more. And we will be talking a little bit about exercise, but remember that you need to be exercising and moving your bodies. The goal is at least 30 minutes per day, every single day. All right. Signs and symptoms of diabetes include increased hunger, increased thirst, and because you're hungry. Why are you hungry? Always hungry. Even if you eat, you're still hungry.
It's not doing anything.
Exactly. The food that you're eating is not going into your cells, right? It's just kind of hanging out in your body, and so you end up with high blood sugars because your body's digesting it, but there's no pump to actually put that fuel into your body cells. Okay, and then you're always thirsty. Who's ever ate something really sweet? Right? You eat something very sweet, what do you want? You want a little bit of water. There's so much sugar in your body, sometimes you're just always consistently thirsty. Because you're drinking a lot, you're urinating a lot. You know, in fact, in terms of working with some people, what I've noticed is that one of the first symptoms that they notice with diabetes is, you know what, I was always going to the bathroom. I always wanted to go use the toilet, you know, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. And that's when I went to see the doctor. So when you have a situation where you're consistently going to the bathroom, that is an indication that maybe there is a little bit of diabetes going on. Of course, because your body is not absorbing that energy, you know, so you're losing weight even though you're eating and you're not trying to lose weight. Blurred vision, you're always tired, your wounds are slow to heal, and you have some tingling and numbness in your feet. You know, you just always feel like right? Some people always say, I always feel like and sometimes that is a symptom of diabetes. All right, so we had a little bit of a health screen. Anybody here surprised by their results? Anybody here fired up by their results? Like, ooh, I'm on a health screen. No? Nobody? Okay. All right. Well, the good news is that you're here today, right? And what we're going to be doing is giving you some practical things that you can do to help kind of drive those scores so that when we have this event next time, you're like, okay, I know this is what I did, and let's check it out right now, right? I know that body fat thing, I don't step on it, you know, because it's like, ah. All right, so we all did a diabetes a quiz, right? There's a quiz that says, are you at risk? That had different questions. Did everybody have a chance to do that one?
Mm-hmm. It's the paper that they sort of took back.
Oh, they took it back?
Yeah, I think
there.
Oh, they
have some over there.
Okay, just one change. I cannot change my genetics, right? And what we know is that diabetes tends to run in families. But sometimes the question is it that diabetes runs in our family, or is it because our families engage in unhealthy behaviors, right? And so unhealthy behaviors are inherited, just like healthy behaviors, right? How many of us are parents here, right? Who makes the decision as to what the kids eat in the house? You do, right? So if I choose to raise my kids on a diet that is fueled by, you know, fried foods and processed foods, they're going to pass that on to their children because that is what they know. That is what they grew up about. So sometimes, you know, although my grandmother had diabetes, you know, it's like it's no longer the grandmas of the grandmas, right? Because some grandmas here are very modern grandmas, right? And so it's about those processed foods and those habits that are being passed on from generation to generation. So sometimes that's making a simple switch in that, you know. It's like we call it breaking the plate, right? Want to break it. From right now on, we're going to eat more healthy items. You know, we're going to be active together. That kind of makes the difference. You know, and we come from a culture in which we don't talk about, you know, our history and the diseases that run within our families. You know, it's like we ask, Lafane, oh, he just fell sick. You know, but we never really know. But what we know is that chronic diseases tend to run in families, you know. And so if that happens, you want to know. You know, you want to know what's happening so that you can pass that information on to your children and empower them to start living healthier. You know, the other item that I want to point out, I know that we're running short on time, so I want to be mindful of that, is, you know, you all had a waist circumference table, right? And if you look at those numbers around your waist, you know, that is one of the most powerful indicators of your risk. You know, so many people, I know I had a little bit of a discussion about weight. Right? So many people focus so much on weight, you know. Oh, how much do I weigh right now? You know, it's like, oh, yay, my BMI is normal. You know, but let me tell you this. Weight is not the ultimate indicator of health. I'm going to repeat that. Weight is not the ultimate indicator of health. You can be skinny and die of a heart attack. Right? It is about your behaviors, the things that you engage in, the things that you eat, the things that you do that make a healthy person. Similarly, we all know of those really big women, you know, that are able to do a lot more things. You know, they move fast, they're always energetic, and they are like even more energetic than some of the people that are skinny that we think are the healthy ones. So don't always focus on the weight, but focus on the behaviors. You know, and for my sisters that are like, I don't want to lose weight. right? I look fine the way I am, and we come from a culture in which we value weight, right? But I always say to you, all it takes is 7%. All you need to do in order to prevent diabetes is lose 7% of your current weight, right? So if you weigh 100 kilo, what is 7% of 100 kilos?
7 kilos.
7 kilos, right? If you weigh 100K, all you need to do is lose 7 kilos. And what the studies tell us is that simply by losing that 7 kilos, we start to see positive reductions in terms of your risk for diabetes, in terms of your risk for hypertension. So if you can just give me 7, those of you that follow me on Instagram or Facebook know that I've always said, give me 7, because it's just 7%. It's just 7 pounds, 7 kilos that you need to lose if you're 100, that we start to see that. It's not a whole lot of weight. You don't have to become skinny, okay? So that's just our opening session. We have some other speakers that are going to speak on things that you can do, in terms of improving your diet and your nutrition in order for you to kind of get healthier. All right?
Questions?
Are there any questions? Don't be shy. Okay, yes.
Sorry, I didn't get my waist measured, so how do we know, how is that an indicator?
Oh, great.
Because I have a nice big one.
Okay, great. So your waist circumference basically is an indicator of your risk for chronic disease, right? The bigger your waist, the higher your risk for developing chronic illness. So here's what we know. Let me just pull up my cheat sheet. Can I grab this for a second? Okay, if you look at this, a weight of less than 80 centimeters, right? First of all, before I go any further, I see some gentlemen in here, I think you're a little bit older, but where's the waist? Right? Waist is not here or here, right? Waist is up here, your natural waist. You kind of in line with your navel, Sometimes, it's like I see people like, oh, this is my waistline. Honey, it's up, right? So it's where your natural waist is. And if you're kind of confused, go with your navel. It's where the navel is. That's your waistline. So you want to take a tape measure and measure there. For women, Damien. Okay. So if you're a woman, you want it to be 80 centimeters or less. Okay. If you're a man, you want it to be at 94 centimeters. Although I'm going to say that there have been some recent studies looking specifically at African men that are suggesting that maybe this 94 centimeters is a little more generous. Okay, and they're saying that it needs to be a little bit less. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, because I think in inches rather than centimeters, but I will calculate it for you and let you know if you ask me. But then there's studies that are suggesting that in African men, getting to 94 centimeters, by the time an African man gets to 94 centimeters, they're already diabetic.
It was 91.
Was it 91?
With the new study.
Okay. So looking at that particular statistic, it might be prudent for us, especially with our African men, to actually start screening for diabetes a little bit earlier. But what happens with your waist is that, there's superficial fat, which is the fat that lies right below your skin, right? And then there is that fat that goes right in between your organs. And when you have abdominal fat, you have fat that is not necessarily on the surface, but it's this fat that kind of lines your abdominal cavity, and it also protects your organs. What we know is that fat is metabolically active, meaning that it produces hormones that actually cause havoc within your body. So they actually may increase blood pressure and may also increase your blood sugars as well. And so that is one of the reasons why we say, measure your waist circumference, because it is a high indicator. Have you heard of the question, are you an apple or a pear? Right? What's an apple? Round. If I'm an apple, where do I carry my fat? Around here, right? Like an apple. If I'm a pear, where do I carry my fat? In the hips, right? Okay, so do I want to be an apple or do I want to be a pear?
A pear, I guess.
I want to be a pear, right? Okay. Right? And you want to be a pear because the fat is not necessarily up here where your heart and your organs are. The fat goes lower. If you are an apple, you're at increased risk for diabetes and hypertension and heart disease. Because think about it, the fat is up here where the organs are. So you want to be a pear, and how you get to be a pear is by exercising, right? Watching what you eat and moving a little bit more. Okay? And any other questions?
Just in Zimbabwe, the nutrition statistics are very interesting because they're showing a big gender difference. In terms of malnutrition, for example, boys are much more malnourished. Stunting is much more common in boys than in girls. And in terms of obesity and overweight, women are way above men. And I just, you know, there are a lot of discussions and they tend to go the wrong way about this. And I just would like a nutritionist perspective on, you know, what this is about.
Probably tackle, today. But
especially on the overweight, it's quite a concern that women are.
Well, I do think that sometimes it has to do with the culture as well, and that we have a preference for bigger women, and so, and when I say bigger, I hope nobody takes offense to that, but it's basically for Africans as in general, the bigger and the more shapely you are, the curvier you are, the healthier you're perceived to be. So maybe that is what is happening with the girls and the women. So her question is, if you're already diabetic, what is the ideal weight? And as a dietitian, I try and move away from the word ideal weight, because there is no such thing as a globalized ideal weight. There is a weight that is ideal for you. Okay, that is the weight at which your blood sugars are controlled. You feel the best that you can. I think sometimes we focus so much on, I need to weigh 60 kilos. But you've never weighed 60 kilos, it's not going to happen. But find out what is that ideal weight for you. What you need to do is, number one, are you managing your blood sugars, right? How are your blood sugars on a daily basis? Are you even checking them, right? That's the first step. And then once you get to that point, let's look at your diet. What are you eating, right? And how does that make you feel? What are your blood sugars after you eat? And then we look at your exercise and your overall lifestyle regimen. But it's tough to say this is the ideal weight. There's an individual weight at which you are the healthiest for yourself. Any other questions? Okay. All right.
Thanks for that. Are we immediately going into my session, Maria?
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you want me to hand that out?
Yeah. So I'm gonna lead a short session on food as medicine. Which is then going to be followed by a short sort of make your own healthy snack. So we all, or many of us, rely on a diet of processed, fatty and sugary foods. And the salt, sugar, fats and processed foods in our diet, they contribute to the high rates of obesity, diabetes and heart disease we're seeing today. So if food has the power to prevent, limit, control and even reverse much of the chronic diseases we're experiencing today, surely it makes sense for us to change our diets. I just need you to be a little bit sort of cautious though that, of course, diet alone is not always the solution, and not every illness can benefit substantially from dietary changes. Drugs are important, especially in life-threatening situations. But long-term conditions can be managed with diet and lifestyle changes, and so using food as medicine should be considered. So basically what we're saying is that food should always be part of your prevention and treatment. Okay, so if you're eating junk food every day with little or no nutrition, then your body will not be receiving the nutrients it needs to function properly. And so health issues will arise. You might think that you're safe, but they will arise, they will come. And individual foods all have their own unique sets of nutrients, so it's very, very important to eat a wide variety of foods every day, so that you get a very diverse range of nutrients your body needs to be healthy. When we look at our foods, we can divide them into three large groups of foods, depending on the nutrients they contain mostly. So there's the energy foods, which are rich in carbohydrates, foods and oils, for energy. There's the bodybuilding foods. They contain large amounts of protein for growth and repair. And then there's the protective foods, which contain large amounts of different vitamins and minerals, which are important to strengthen your body and boost your immune system. And beside those three groups of foods, another sort of very important nutrient, or whatever you want to call it, is fiber. Fiber is very, very, very important because fiber helps to absorb the nutrients that are in the foods. They help to control weight, they help to control your blood sugar levels, and they help to improve digestion. And fiber-rich foods are whole grain cereals, legumes, fruits and vegetables mostly. So the question we always hear is, how much should we eat? Because it's very, very important that you eat the correct amounts of foods for your age, sex and lifestyle. So, if you're very active, you can eat a little bit more, and if you have quite a sedentary lifestyle or a sedentary job, like you're sitting in the office all day, or you're a driver, then you should eat less. But a general sort of good tool to use is what is called the Zimbabwean hand jive. It's called the Zimbabwean hand jive because it was actually developed by a Zimbabwean doctor in the 90s. And basically it is, as you can see on the paper that I distributed there, it's using your hands to control or to determine the portions that should be on your plate for every meal. So you use your hand, your own hand, not someone else's hand, your own hand. And if we look at what is most important to all of you guys, which is your energy foods, your carbohydrates, it's one fistful. So look at your fist. That is what the amount of sadza on your plates should look like. And let's not only think about the usual sadza, but let's also try and think about all the other sort of energy foods, like your jrio and your munga, your brown rice, your wholemeal breads, your sweet potatoes, your cassava, your madumbes. If you have that on your plate, one fistful. Then when it comes to your bodybuilding foods, which is your meat mostly, it's one palmful. Look at the size of your palm. That is what should be on your plate, not more than that. And again, I'm saying meat because that's what people mostly think of, but it's eggs as well, or beans. Beans are very high in proteins. Your nemos, your nyembas, your groundnuts, but not more than nuts. Yeah. And then the rest of your plate, which is half of your plate, should be vegetables. And ideally vegetables of different colors, because the different colors also indicate that they will bring you different nutrients. And I've just explained to you that you need a wide range of nutrients. So, and again, don't forget all the very traditional vegetables. Your nieves, your bonongwes, your okra, your blackjack. And then when it comes to fat, just one thumb size of fat, which is your oils, your margarine, that you probably also have cooked your meat in. That's how much fat your plate should contain. Just a quick sort of what should you try to avoid and what should you try and do when you're filling your plate. Try and avoid refined foods. Try and avoid your white bread, your white rice, your super refined sadzas. Definitely avoid sugar, sweet drinks, sodas. Try and avoid foods with chemical additives. The very popular polony. Try and avoid polony. Try and avoid deep fried foods. Cut back on oils and fats. Try and reduce your salt intake. But do eat different kinds of food every meal and every day. Do increase your fruit and vegetable intake, and try and incorporate the seasons. When you eat fruits and vegetables, because not only will it be fresh and abundant, but they will also be cheaper. Do drink more water and more maheu. Do drink teas high in antioxidants. We have some at our stall. Your Zumbani teas, your Resurrection Bush teas, very good for you. and do control your portions. I think that's basically what I wanted to say in a nutshell. Questions?
This is the ideal plate.
Yeah.
How many times a day should I take?
3 times a day, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so basically your ideal plate looks like that, at least every meal. Okay, so now you're saying, but I don't eat sadza for breakfast, right? So think of it not just as the sadza, right? It might be your slice of bread, right? That might be your eggs. Okay, so many people tell me that, I don't eat vegetables for breakfast. And I'm like, why not? You know? And so think of what else can you add? Can we, it's like we used to add tomatoes and onions to our eggs, right? Add some of that, maybe make a soup or a sauce that goes with your eggs. But also thinking in terms of maybe have a piece of fruit if you can't have vegetables for breakfast. But basically, the basic concept is watching your portions. You want to make sure that you have a starch, which is what the sadza represents. You want to have a protein food, which is what the nyama or beans or the eggs at breakfast would represent. And you always want to make sure you have some kind of produce. Vegetables are preferred. Okay, fruits are important as well, but vegetables are preferred. And I always laugh when people look at the picture because they're like, that's how much vegetable I'm supposed to have? And say, yeah, not that tablespoon. You say, oh yeah, I ate my veggies, and you put a tablespoon, right? It's actually half of your plate should be veggies. Fruits or veggies, more so the veggies.
On why exercise is important and a session on the effects of stress on our health. And we're just going to jam them together because they do definitely kind of fit together. As we've talked about kind of here and there, like stress can kill you. That's a physical fact. Like it raises blood pressure, it causes stroke, it causes sleeplessness also, which is directly linked to obesity and weight gain. When we don't get enough rest, when we don't take care of our physical bodies in terms of fitness, then it's that much harder for our bodies for our food to be effective and for our bodies to function the way that we need them to, including our organs. There are lots of different ways of sort of managing stress, and exercise is a massive one of those. Think about it. Whenever you've just even gone for a walk in the evening, after work, after a crazy day where you're completely stressed out and ticked off and all this, if you just go outside and take a walk, think about how much better you feel afterwards. There's a lot of different ways of exercising our bodies, and one of the biggest points that we want to make today, that we want you to take home, is it doesn't have to be this extreme fitness CrossFit, like I don't eat anything but a boiled egg and then I work out for 5 hours every day. That's not, again, it's about sustainability. It's about making small changes in our daily lives to incorporate exercise that's enjoyable. Moving our bodies is fun. It makes us feel good. It makes us happy. It releases endorphins. And all of that is all part of our wellness, our well-being, our mental state, and our ability to kind of manage life's stresses that happen every day, all day. So again, there are lots of different ways of exercising. Taking a walk. Yoga is great, and we've got Tinashe and Memory here today. And in a few minutes, they're going to actually take us through a series of poses. So, yoga is not just for floopy guys with long ponytails and like scraggly beards, Yoga is for everyone. And it is amazing because it actually emphasizes that connection between the mind, the breath, and the body. And it's a really excellent way of managing our stress, gaining fitness and flexibility, and calming the mind. I used to be a runner, and before that I weighed like 305 pounds. And then I started managing my health, first through walking every day. That's how I started. I said I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna walk for 30 minutes every morning. And then 30 minutes became 45 minutes, and then 45 minutes came an hour. And then soon I realized, hey, I could be doing more. Like, I actually feel pretty strong. So I started doing different things and swimming, and then I found long distance running. And I ran for several years, and I loved it more than anything else in the world. And then I wrecked my knee. So I can't run anymore, But this is just a tale to tell you, A, take care of your bodies when you're exercising. You must stretch, especially if we're a little bit out of shape. It's really, really important to stretch and take care of our bodies after we've exercised, and to hydrate. But it's also important to find what you love to do. And that's the second big takeaway that we want you guys to go home with today, is that exercise is fun, and you need to do the kinds of exercise that you really enjoy. Otherwise, you will never do it. If you set yourself a goal of like, I'm gonna do 5,000 push-ups every day, you're never gonna get there because it's not fun. So these are the things that we kind of wanted you to keep in mind. Cultivating like a healthy attitude about exercise. It's not a have to do, it's not a burden, it's not a trial. It's something you should look forward to doing because it makes you feel good and it's something that you love. Sports are fun. Playing a game, that's exercise. Dancing is exercise. Gardening is totally exercise. So these are all just the kind of overall points that we wanted to make, and we're gonna do a listserv, we hope, like an email listserv and maybe a WhatsApp group. One of the things we hope would come out of that is that people might find each other and form groups together to support each other in maybe a walking group or any other kind of exercise that you find that you enjoy that you can do together, because it's a lot easier to get up out of bed, you know, in the morning when you know somebody is there waiting for you to do it with you. So with that, I think we're going to turn it over to Tinashe and Memory to take us through a few poses, yeah, for about 5 minutes.
And then he's here now.
The amount of honey that you use. So when I say a carbohydrate, you know, we talk about the good carbs and the bad carbs, right? Everybody has heard that, right? Good carbs are your rios, your whole wheat bread, and your brown rice. You know, those are the good carbs. You know, and then we have the bad carbs, you know, which are your sugary beverages, you know, the sodas or the soft drinks or the white bread or white pasta, white rice. You know, honey is a natural sweetener, right? We use it to sweeten. But if you add too much of it, it actually will increase your blood sugars. So the whole key is how much of it are you eating. You want to have, like, I think about a teaspoon to 2, no more than 2 teaspoons if you're eating honey.
We were having this debate though just the other day because one of the things we're doing, a couple of the things we have today have honey in it. And we tried to do some research online to see, like, is honey better than, say, refined white sugar? And it seems to be kind of a yes. Maybe you can talk about that?
I think they say yes because it is a natural sweetener.
Oh, got it.
You know, so people
It's
think
not
of honey as a
turbo-loaded
natural.
sugar.
Yeah.
Is there like so we should avoid alcohol.
Drink water, drink maheu, drink teas, avoid all the rest.
Okay, and then the fruits, I've been told that there are other fruits that are sweeter and that we should avoid completely. Is that the case, or?
No.
Or it depends on the number of times that you have the fruits per day, or how does it work?
I'm looking at her. It probably also depends if you're pre-diabetic, diabetic.
Right. So yes, there are some fruits that are. I hope you can hear me or see me. Should I stand? There are some fruits that tend to be higher in sugar. You know, one of the first things that comes is a banana. You know, yeah, I know people can be like, what? You know, so a banana will tend to be higher in the sugars. But then it's about the portion control. You want to make sure that if you're eating a certain fruit that is high, maybe it's a mango, maybe it's a banana, you actually watch the portions. So you won't have the whole, depending on the size of the banana, you won't have the whole. If it's a bigger banana, cut it in half, you know, and eat half the banana, so that you're not getting that many sugars. But yes, there are some fruits that you want to eat more of. Berries, you know, the masaus, most of our local traditional ones, guava, tend to be lower in the sugars. But then when we go to the mangoes, those tend to be higher. Grapes are high, you know. So one of the things that we teach is the serving of grapes. If it's like the medium grapes, is about 12 to 20 grapes, depending on the size. I know, and then everybody's like, what? You know, so that's because they're higher in the sugar level. So different fruits have different portion sizes. Just because it's a fruit doesn't mean that you can just indulge in it. Okay, but it's about a palm size for your snack in between.
What about dairy? Like Coca-Cola, cheese maybe?
Okay, so those fall under your protein foods. Okay, so the way we eat Coca-Cola, right, falls under, we have it in nesadza, right? So it would take the place of meat, and so it comes into that particular category.